So recently I came across a mod that changes Batman Arkham Asylum's difficulty to a whole new level and is considered to be the hardest challenge in Batman Arkham Asylum. And today I wanted to put it to the test, and also it's just another excuse for me to play this game, honestly. This mod was created by the individual named GP Unity. And what this mod does to challenge us is it added an insane plus nightfall difficulty. In this mode, most of the basic enemies do way more damage than they used to and pretty much can 3-hit KO Batman, and some enemies it takes just 2 hits, almost turning Batman Arkham Asylum into a Souls-like game. It also improves the AI to be much smarter and alert and will make it much harder to do stealth encounters. Also, every boss fight and Titan fight will be much harder due to behavior changes to the enemies and changes to their attack patterns, while also giving them more health. This mod basically makes every enemy hard to fight and makes you be more careful with the decisions you make, and this is a challenge I wanted to test myself with. If you want to try this challenge out yourself, the mod will be in the description down below. Now, let's get this challenge started. So starting off, we have the classic scene where we bring the Clown Prince of Crime to Arkham and proceed to walk with him for what feels like an hour to his cell, but we all know that Joker had this planned out and escaped, leaving us to fight through our first obstacle. This of course wasn't much of a challenge with it being a tutorial fight, but one thing I did notice was the health on these guys were insane. If I didn't ground take down most of them, you could easily get 60 hit combos with just fighting 5 goons. It's that crazy. We then continue further, running into Zsasz holding an officer hostage, but he is of course not a problem for Batman, so we got rid of him pretty quick. Harley Quinn will then turn on some screens and we learn that she has the warden held hostage as well, and Batman is the only one who can save him. So then I was on my way to find him until I ran into 2 goons, and this is where I learned how much damage these guys actually do. Just after 1 hit, my health bar is already halfway. They must have gave these suckers the super soldier serum or something, because they hit too hard. Quickly after that though, we then run into Joker again, but with a surprise this time. This guy proceeds to send out the ugliest looking creature that borderline looks like CW's Doomsday. But this guy was super easy though, because he was a failed experiment and only really lasted 5 seconds and had a heart attack. So after defeating the Titan and seeing how pussy Batman is to get rid of the Joker once and for all, we are met with the first stealth segment, and I wasn't taking any chances with these guys. I immediately turned on that X-ray vision and picked them off one by one, because with the new difficulty, the enemies now are much more aware of their surroundings and will even look up at gargoyles randomly, and if they see you, it's basically GG. They will turn into Deadshot immediately. After taking them out, we finally get some fresh air and make it outside to find out that some goons was vandalizing the Batmobile. Knowing that this car probably cost more than hundreds of millions of dollars or even $1 billion, it was only right to punch on them and potentially give every single one of them CTE. With them taken care of, we now obtain our first new gadget and one of the best gadgets Batman has ever used, the explosive gel. And you know I had to put it to the test right away, because in this mod it is said that it was nerfed and I needed to see it for myself. So I placed the gel on top of these stairs and led the enemies to the top, and I'm not gonna lie, this gel still looks pretty good to me, because from what I can tell, I gave them that 4-for-4 combo right there. Next, we have a nice little chat with Harley Quinn and learn that she's also captured Gordon, adding more people for us to save. But before we can do that, we are met with the second stealth encounter, and without hesitation, this spot already felt like home. I made sure I placed my explosive gels in the right spots. I waited a little bit, took 3 of them out with it, and finished the last 2 with some ground takedowns after hitting them with the batarang. Once we save the doctors after the stealth segment, Batman is then told that he has to save more doctors, and while I was saving the first one, it really had me feeling like Batman, because I had already set an explosive gel trap on the floor subconsciously before walking into this room, and then this scene happened.
Don't speak. You're safe now.
But it's a trap!
I know. Just not for me.
After that, I definitely was feeling some type of way, I can't lie. So after we save the doc, he tells us where Dr. Young is, and we head over there, taking out the goons easily, plus the extra 3 that came out in the mini stealth encounter. And now, my friends, I find myself fighting my way through the first Scarecrow encounter. And this one wasn't too bad because it was the first one, but even though Scarecrow was just spinning in circles, I could tell his extra field of view was going to potentially make this harder down the road. But for now, it wasn't a problem. We then finally meet up with Harley Quinn with Gordon tied up, and this is where my first mistake happened. So usually to get to Harley, you really only need to take out one of the goons, then walk up to Harley and take her out. But for some reason, I decided to go to the goon on the right, taking him out first, and then tried to walk all the way to the left to take out another goon. But before I could get in close to choke him out, he turns at the last second and wasted no time giving Batman a facial with that 12-gauge shotgun.
Oh, he turned around!
turned around. So unfortunately, that is how we get our first death that we have to add to our counter. We already got one on the board. In the second try, I was able to get past the goons quickly, knock Harley out, and save Gordon to only be greeted with our first main boss, Bane. This is when I knew I had to lock in because the last time I fought him was 2 years ago, and who knows what would happen with the harder difficulty. The first thing I did notice in this fight right away is how many times Bane had to hit the wall to do damage to him. And he didn't charge as much either, he just wanted to throw stuff at me the whole time, so I had to be very patient in this fight. The first stage was pretty simple, but I knew these fights get harder as soon as the goons come out, and my game plan was pretty much to let Bane take them out for me, while I also put explosive gel on the floor to line them up, and this was going extremely well for me. I rarely even had to fight them. Once they were taken out, I would do the damage to Bane and then plan for the next wave over and over. All the same events happened each wave, and I thought I was doing this boss flawlessly until I got too impatient. Perfect run. Oh my goodness. No, bro, right when I said that, I got cocky for a hit. Holy crap, I nearly died off of one hit from him, but I didn't sell this fight and was able to finish the boss first try, thankfully. If I didn't have my explosive gel though, it could have ended differently. But now it's time for Bane to take a swim.
This time I break you.
Now that we have saved Gordon, it was our mission to save the warden as well, but we had to stop by the Batcave first and pick up a new gadget, the Batclaw. And if anybody remembers, this was the best version of the Batclaw because it allowed you to pull anyone off of a ledge without fail. Continuing on though, Batman will then find himself being ambushed, and this did catch me by surprise. And you know how I was using the explosive gel a lot in the last fight? Well, in this case, I relied on it too much and ended up allowing a goon to walk up to me mid-animation while using the gel for him to take out Batman in 2 hits without me being able to even react. Like, the damage on these guys are crazy. Oh, damn, that just got me killed, bro, trying to do that freaking explosive gel. But we had to go ahead and add an extra death to the counter. Moving forward, I went to an area called the main hall where I could see a whole fleet of enemies on the ground, and after just dying, I proceeded to move right past them because I did not want to die again. But then I ran into another stealth encounter. I approached this one very carefully, choking out the first 2 and then taking out my multi-batarang to take out the 2 goons, checking out the first guy that I choked out, and then using the batarangs again on the remaining enemies. I rescued the police officers they captured and then collect Dr. Young's fingerprints to help lead me to the information on the Titan drug that the Joker was using on his experiments. Oh, and you remember that large group of enemies that I avoided earlier? Well, it looks like I had to fight them and it didn't go so well. I ended up really miscalculating the speed at which these goons were going to hit me and ended up taking too much damage, leaving me one shot immediately. With me being scared, I started to panic roll all over the place, and I thought I was slick enough to grapple away from getting beat on, and unfortunately died doing so, adding another death to the counter. I was able to get my payback right after now that I had prep time. I led some of them to some explosive gel taken out too, and then punched everybody else to bed. Next, we then find Joker has placed a bomb next to 2 guards, and it was our job to save them. All I had to do was just cut down this chandelier to get to them, but once I opened the box, it happened to be a fake bomb. I was able to find Dr. Young's notes on the Titan drug though, but here comes Scarecrow again. It was time for round 2. This one was definitely more difficult than the first time. I would find myself sitting behind cover sometimes for over 2 minutes trying to see when it was free for me to go. And look, even the skeleton enemies did hella damage to me. They hit me one time and I could tell if I got hit again, it would be over. And after a long time of waiting and Batman almost causing me to die because he wouldn't grab the ledge. Bro, whoa. Bro, what the heck is he doing? This man, Batman. If you don't grab the ledge, I swear. We were able to get through this encounter without being seen, ending the second Scarecrow encounter. Eventually, we were able to catch up with Dr. Young with the slight inconvenience of Zsasz popping up again holding her hostage, but yet again we took care of him easily. I swear, I don't know who's more of a joke, Zsasz or the electrocutioner. Dr. Young will then tell us Joker's plan to create an army of Titans with the drugs she created, but in the attempt of trying to help Batman, she tries to open the warden's safe that Joker had unfortunately placed a trap in, resulting in an explosion, barbecuing Dr. Young. Rest in peace. We later run into Poison Ivy with a very short conversation asking asking Batman to save her plans, but Batman ain't got time for that. Our mission was to save the warden, and that's what we did, while also obtaining a new gadget, the cryptographic sequencer, that will help us access locked rooms. Oh, and why is this the first time I'm seeing this guy? As soon as I laid eyes on him, I immediately thought of that one villain in the Over the Hedge movie. I guess this is where he ended up. Now it was time for the first Harley Quinn boss encounter. At first I wasn't worried until I noticed that there was guns on the walls. Because of this, my attention was thrown a little bit off, and since the mod changes the batterings to where you can't knock enemies down while in the middle of a fight, it made it so much harder for me to stun them and keep them from grabbing a gun. I was able to finish the first round, but I made the mistake again of putting an explosive gel in the middle of a fight, and I suffered for it, resulting in me adding another death to the counter. With me nearly dying again the second try, we were able to clutch it up and finish the first encounter. During the second encounter, all you have to do is free these prison guards that Harley Quinn tied up and use our new gadget to disarm all the traps she laid out and rescue them with no troubles. Then came the third and final encounter. I was so nervous about this one because in my first playthrough, I struggled so much, but I made sure to use my explosive gel early this time and was able to get a pretty good head start by almost taking out the first wave with one explosion. After that, I took my time fighting the enemies, only getting hit about once and finishing the third encounter first try, capturing Harley and going into the goods to get the information we needed. We later find ourselves in a botanical glass house where we get into another stealth encounter. I started it off pretty simple, choking the guy on the stairs, then to choke the next guy on the ledge above. I used my batarangs to take out 2 more until I tried to use a battering on this enemy here. But I guess he must have spotted me because as soon as I threw it, he didn't get stunned at all. And I tried to make my escape, but the goon turned on aimbot and beamed me right out of the air, causing us to add yet another death to the counter. I spun the block though, got my revenge, and continued on to find a room full of enemies guarding a hostage, and I don't know what was going on with me, but I started to get careless in this fight, nearly dying again after just getting shot up, but luckily was able to clutch this one up with legit 2 health. Like, Batman does not need to be struggling this much against fodder, bro. We do get to save Rick Grimes, and he tells Batman that there are more of his co-workers that needed help. So I headed up there to save them, and man, I did the dumbest mistake and dropped down right into a goon's line of sight and got gunned down right away. You already know, we gotta add that to the death counter. At this point, I'm just handing out deaths. I was able to save the workers though next try, and now it was time to meet up with Joker again in his secret room with 2 Titans waiting for me. Since this fight doesn't involve other enemies besides the Titans, I was able to beat this pretty quickly as you are able to make them hit each other and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, while you run around and be patient. Once the fight ends, you get this cool cutscene where the Batwing breaks through the glass and drops you a new gadget, the line launcher. This will help us access hard to reach areas. As soon as I got back outside, Batman notices Ivy's plants have been placed everywhere with spores that can attack us, but that wasn't what I needed to worry about. It was these freaking zombies running out in the field jumping Batman, having me terrified and nearly dying because they also do a crap ton of damage. Bro, I freaking hate these minions, dude. Bro, nah, I refuse to die to these things. I refuse. Bro, what the f— Take me out, please. Have me running for my life. Now I've reached another stealth encounter, and I thought this one was going to be easy until I was spotted as soon as I tried to use the backfall on this goon here. And I don't know how I survived right here, but there was no way I was going to go out like that. So pretty much, I cheesed everyone else using the backclaw, pulling them off this ledge. And after taking all of them out, I just used the battering on the last guy, clutching up at the brink of death. We are now getting close to the end, and we get the classic scene where the devs wanted to make you think your game crashes and you go through this canon event where the Joker shoots you dead, and I am told it's a skill issue, to only realize it was Scarecrow all along and everything was just an illusion, starting off the 3rd Scarecrow encounter. Believe it or not, this one took me a whole 20 minutes to complete, and it wasn't because of me failing. I was able to get through the first part just being patient and taking my time. But in the second part, you are supposed to fight these skeleton minions, and one of them is a Titan. And since the mod makes the Titans less aggressive, I had to play cat and mouse with him for like 13 minutes until he would charge at me, because that was the only way to do damage to him. Eventually though, he did charge and we were able to complete the Scarecrow encounters without dying once, surprisingly, but my luck ran out quick. Our next stop was Killer Croc. Now normally this is the easiest boss in the game, right? But somehow I ran into issues. In my first playthrough around 2 years ago, I specifically remember just doing the quick battering to hit Croc into the water, but it did not work for me this time, and Batman misses twice. So here comes Killer Croc coming to tackle me like this mess is the NFL. But that's not all. I continued to gather up the spores that I needed for the Titan drug antidote to then have the unluckiest thing happen to me. In order for me to cross this platform here, I had to use my line launcher, and as soon as I used the gadget to get across, Killer Croc comes out of nowhere, canceling my animation. So then I try to hurry up and pull out my batarang to turn around, accepting defeat to the easiest boss yet again, adding 2 more deaths to the counter. So after setting up Croc with a trap and dropping him into the depths, we get back to the Batcave and get the most overpowered Batman gadget ever, the Ultra Bat Claw. Pretty much the same as the Bat Claw, but you're able to pull 3 enemies at once. We then find ourselves doing another stealth encounter. This one was my favorite when I first played, so I went straight to it, doing the same route as I did when I last played until I tried to make this simple jump. And all of a sudden, I came crashing down and was spotted instantly dying right away, adding another death to the counter. And during my second try, I made another mistake, hanging on a ledge too long, and I was only shot 2 times. But it left me at legit 1 HP. I had no idea how I was still alive. I did get super cautious after that and took each enemy out one by one, clutching it up with just 1 HP left. Next up, we got the fight that I believe to be the hardest fight in the game, and I didn't even realize it was so close to the event that just happened. This is the one where you're in this tight space with a Titan, but also have to fight multiple goons at the same time, making it much harder. I was doing okay for this for quite a while until I mistimed a roll and unfortunately died by a Titan throwing a body at me. In the second attempt, I had a different plan to use an explosive gel to help with the first wave of enemies, and then for the remaining waves, I will use the Titan to damage them and finish them off afterwards. This game plan turned out to be the right one, and I was able to finish this segment only having to add 1 death to the counter. I need to see some W's in the comments for that because this fight is so hard. Alright, we are finally in the last moments in the game, making our way up to Ivy. One thing that I did learn about her spores though is that if you crouch while walking towards them, you can destroy them easily without taking any damage at all. But after getting through that, it is now time for the Ivy boss. And this will be the second hardest fight based off from when I last played. The first wave though isn't that bad. All you have to do is be patient and time your batarangs right, and that's what we did. Then came the second stage. This is where it gets harder because we have to fight the mind controlled guards and worry about her plants at the same time. This ended up catching me off guard, causing me to take too much damage when I didn't need to. And then somehow I stupidly ran into the plants, causing myself to get killed immediately, adding another death to the counter. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, I was making hella mistakes this game. The second time I started off much better as I realized I could hit the enemies that spawn in over the ledge right away, making this fight a lot easier. And even with me doing this, I still nearly died towards the end because of me mistiming my batarang. Somehow I didn't sell though and only died once in this fight, which I almost couldn't believe myself. So now that we have defeated Ivy, this only leaves 2 more fights left. The first one is when we meet back up with the Joker that had laid a trap out for me when I had to fight 2 Titans and goons at the same time, which should be difficult on paper. But since there's so much room to fight in this area, I was able to get through this fight fairly easy, leaving us with the final fight where Joker injects himself with Titan, turning him into an abomination. Like, what is this? This fight also caught me by surprise because usually this Joker is slow, but no. He decided to hit a speed boost right away and hits me, nearly killing me in 1 hit. Now I'm running for my life while he was spamming way more than I remember. I was able to get away, and now comes the first wave. This is really the only part where I have to focus in this boss fight. All I needed to do was hit the enemies against the electric wall that will knock them out right away, and this time I put explosive gel down that came in handy. I did 2 more rounds of cat and mouse with the Joker, then knock out the remaining enemies on the electric fence to then finally finishing this fight, knocking Joker down and hitting him with the explosive gel punch, ending this challenge with a total of 11 deaths. Honestly, that was way more than what I wanted to have, but I guess you're bound to make mistakes in these games. If you wanted to try this out for yourself, the mod will be in the description down below, and you can tell me how many times you died playing it. I do believe there is a mod like this for Arkham City and Arkham Origins, so let me know if you might want to see that as well. Until then though, see you in the next one.